Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Brandon.
And I'm Remy.
And you're tuned into
A
Life Worth Loving.
Thank you guys so much for asking all the questions. Today, we're going to answer some of those.
Yeah.
So, we love when you ask questions, so always feel free to do that. We're going to touch on the hardest thing about parenthood, what we love about parenthood, and things we wish we knew before we became parents. And we're also, I got to give you guys a little bit of insight on the importance of Malachi's name, the history of it, and why we chose it. Let's get into it, baby.
All right, so, hey.
Yeah.
What's the best thing about parenthood right now? For you.
Malachi's 5 months, so we're pros at this, okay?
Got
Like,
this in the
we've been doing this all our lives, it feels like. No, I say that to say that we're only 5 months in, and my answer may change. But my favorite thing about parenthood cannot be condensed into one thing because there's so much that I love. I absolutely love his spirit. And I think I just love being the mother of Malachi right now. Like, he's such a joy. And he has this like very sweet way of making you feel like everything's always okay.
Yeah.
No matter what it is that you're going through, he's just like smiling and he's happy and he's joyous. So like, I love feeling like we did something right. Yeah. This boy is happy. That's one thing that I really love about parenthood, is just understanding the importance of joy. Yeah. And I know we talked about joy in our last episode when we were headed to Terranea, but that's something that's just been so permanently ingrained in my spirit over these last few months with Malachi.
But you did say something really cool the other day. It was just not too long ago. You were talking about purpose.
Oh yeah, I was saying how Malachi has created a new layer of purpose in my life, and that's one of the joys of motherhood. Is like, I feel like this job was made for me. Like, I feel so in purpose and so aligned in God's will being a mom. So I'm just really grateful that he cared so much about making sure that this kid was going to have a great home, was going to have a stable environment, and a great father. I feel very blessed. When you feel like you're like, oh God, I don't know how to say this.
You were on a beautiful track
earlier.
No, just now when you were talking about even just performing, at your highest altitude, as a mom, like it was reserved for you. Yeah. And just how God cares about the details. Like, we hear that all the time. But it's so true. We say it, we hear it. He literally cares about the details, and it shows how faithful he is because of how much he cares, because he fine-tunes those, even working on us before Malachi's even here, just making sure that we're preparing the proper foundation. Everybody loves how happy Malachi is. They watch him and say, oh, he's such a happy baby. Yes, he is, but that's because of what God has done in our lives and how we're able to project
that to him. That brings me to another thing, without trying to jump around too much, but there's often criticism about putting your spouse first before your child. And one thing that has proven true so far, once again, we're only 5 months in, but one thing that has proven true is when we sow into each other, there is a positive overflow that flows out of us and into Malachi. Either way, it's going to be an overflow. It's just about whether or not that overflow is healthy for your child. So if Brandon and I are prioritizing the health of our marriage, prioritizing intimacy in our marriage, prioritizing serving each other, then that abundance is fruitful for Malachi.
Absolutely.
And vice versa. If like we don't talk to each other, if we have bad energy towards each other, if we don't take the time to just be like, babe, how are you today? Or check in on each other, we're still making time for Malachi, but he's going to be confused. He's getting rotten fruit. Like the overflow exists. It's just, what are you giving your child? So when people say put your spouse first, a lot of people see that as putting your child second. But in reality, you are putting your child first when you put your spouse first, because it ends up being a joyful overflow that goes into your baby. So I do think that's why Malachi is so happy, is because we prioritize making sure our household is stable and not chaotic.
Yeah, that was good.
I still don't think I answered the question about what's my joy of motherhood. I just love it. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Everything.
I love being a mom.
You love nursing.
I love it all.
Like it's those intimate
moments. I love the
moments.
hard things about motherhood. Like I cried the first 2 weeks of nursing because it hurt so freaking bad. Mm-hmm. But as I cried, I was so thankful, and I'm like, Lord, I get to nurse-feed my baby. Like, thank you for the opportunity to breastfeed. Sorry, guys. Thank you for the opportunity and for the milk. Like, we are made with such intentionality. Like, we have food to give our baby. And it's just such a blessing to be able to do that. And I was worried about not being able to breastfeed. So I am entirely grateful that that's something that the Lord allowed me to do. Yeah. So it's like being happy in the hard things is probably my favorite part of parenthood. Now that I say all of that. And
the challenge.
It's because in most situations, like, doing the hard things actually suck. But in parenthood, doing the hard things gives you that level of resilience and gratitude all in the same space.
I know exactly what you mean.
Okay, you tell us about your favorite.
Man, you said it all. I feel well. Besides the nursing.
Malachi does try to nurse Brandon.
Yeah, he try to get me. This is like top 3 of parenthood.
Okay.
Putting Malachi to sleep, putting him, like, comforting him when he's restless, when he's tired, and he can't do it for himself. Remy's not available, or I'm just giving her a break. So I'll take him into the bathroom, and I'll close the door because it's typically quieter and darker in there when everything is closed. And I'll rock him to sleep, and it's funny because sometimes I'm watching the game and I want to do it, and I'm like, oh, I could do it all, just watch the game, and I'm excited. So I realize it's taking too long, so that's when I finally go into the bathroom and everything, and make a quiet place for him. Yeah. And then I'm rocking him to sleep, and I'm like, it's okay, shushing him, but it still doesn't work. Then I start singing to him, and I'll sing like a worship song to him, or some song that I learned from way back in like Sunday school when I was a young kid. And it's funny how those songs calm him down. And I sing a lot of praise and worship to him, and that's what works. Nothing else works. Like, there's nothing else that works. That's what I love. I love that he can come to me, I can take him to a safe space, a quiet space, and calm him down in the midst of his worry, in the midst of his tiredness and fatigue, and there's nothing else he needs but this. So
you actually become his safe place.
I become his safe place, So that's what I love. That's my favorite part.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
It is so sweet knowing that, like, you and this baby have such a sacred relationship. Me and Malachi have a sacred relationship. You and Malachi have a sacred relationship, and it's one that can't be duplicated. Like, he loves people already. He's such a lover. You call him a certified lover boy and a charmer. He loves people.
CLB.
And no matter how many people he loves, the relationship that he has with his parents will always be special and cannot be imitated.
Right.
And it makes me think about our relationship with God. So much of being a parent relates back to our relationship with our Heavenly Father.
Yes.
And it's in a way that we otherwise would not have comprehended. Like, if someone were to tell us, we'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But to live it and experience it firsthand, it's like, I cannot believe God loves us this much. Yeah. And not even this much. He loves us entirely more than we could think or imagine. But the amount of love, like agape love, we have for this baby, to know that, like, that doesn't even scratch the surface of the kind of love that God has for us. Yeah. Okay, so we also were asked, what is the hardest part of parenthood?
Funny enough, can I go?
Yeah.
Funny enough, that's the hardest part too, calming them down.
Yeah.
Like giving up what I want to do to make
dying
everything.
To self.
Yeah, it's dying to self. It's difficult because it's like, dang, I could have just went in there and did it and put them to sleep, but I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I wanted to watch the game. I wanted to finish up a phone call, finish up some work.
So it's taking longer.
It's taking longer to get.
Oh, that's a word.
Really,
that's a word.
Yeah, so
it's taking the shortcut is always the longest way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh wait, I heard one saying. I don't know who said it, but someone said, "Oh, it was at She Gathers." One of the girls said, "The longest distance between 2 points is the shortcut."
Wow.
And that is exactly what you go through every single day.
Every single time.
With Malachi, when you could have just gone and not taken the shortcut, and it would have happened so much quicker. But instead, you're like trying to help balance him on one side and work on the other side and take a phone call.
Or I'm just tired. Like I was, at the gym. My knees hurt. My back hurt. I'm like, my shoulders hurt. I'm like, oh. My body.
I am not your personal rocking chair, Malachi.
But I am.
But you are.
I am.
That's the job of dad.
Did I hear him? No.
We also have PTSD. We think we hear him all the time.
He's in his room sleeping.
So yeah, that's good. I think I can relate to the hardest part. For me, I don't like leaving him. And I just it's hard for me to have me time, not because Brandon doesn't allow that space for me, but it's hard for me to have me time because I feel so tethered to my child that I want my me time to include him and I want my me time to include you. So it's the hardest part is realizing that you do need to prioritize yourself. Like I'm so good at prioritizing you and so good at prioritizing the baby, but it gets hard for me when I need to remember that like I need to be looked after without the two of y'all.
Yes. Yeah.
Like even when you had the masseuse come for Mother's Day, I was gonna suggest that you guys stay in the room with me while I get a massage.
We were not doing that. We gotta be quiet. I should get.
No, I wanted to hear him. I wanted him to you know how you can look down. I wanted him to be right there underneath. I can just look at him and play with him while getting my massage.
Oh, okay.
I know it's creepy. However, I think that's hard for me is being okay with leaving. Like every time it's time for me to go somewhere, Brandon's like, leave Malachi here. And I'm like, no, I want him to come with me. He's like,
you made plans. You made plans and we chilling. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be home with Malachi. You like, Malachi, you want to come with me? I'm like, you leave in the house. If you want to be with him, we in the house. Stay here if you want to be with him.
So yeah, I do think that part is hard. And I do want to do better at just doing things for me and being okay with it.
No, I feel you. I feel you. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, let her take him sometimes. I'm working on that. Of course, I mean, like when I go out, right? I'm not like, all right, babe, I got a meeting. Malachi, get Malachi dressed.
Yeah, you
but
physically can't because you're working.
But
I'm going to lunch.
Yeah. So I do want to give you the space to be able to take Malachi, even though I'm home.
Yeah.
Because you should be able to.
Yeah, but I should also
let me.
Not even let you, because that's not the complex. It's not that I don't trust you. It's that I miss y'all too much when I'm out. And I'm like rushing home.
I know.
So, but yeah, I think that's the hardest for me. I'm sure something else will come up. But that's what we have right now. And the other question. Oh, something we wish we knew before. Something that I wish I knew before has less to do with parenting and more about birth. But something I wish I knew before was how enjoyable birth could be. I think there's so much fear surrounding birth. And one thing that Brandon tried to do was unlearn a lot of the stereotypes of birth and fathers.
Yeah.
I can't recall if we touched on this in our birth story, but just in case someone didn't see that, with a lot of the births that we've both experienced or known about, they haven't come out of it. That was such a life-changing experience. It was amazing. It was spiritual. It was sweet. You can do it. And we didn't have that take. I heard that from one person, and that is what propelled me to feel birth could be enjoyable.
Yeah.
And that the one thing that I wish I knew more, or that I wish more people knew, shall I say, is that birth is very sacred. And it can be sweet, and it can be special, and it can be joyous and happy, and your partner should absolutely be the one in the room.
That part.
There was no version of life that Brandon would not have been in the room, but that was a real question that I had to answer, and that was, do you want Brandon in the room, or do you want your mom in the room? Because the doula was a no-brainer. She had to be there, and you can only have 2 people. So I wish that more people would trust their partners with the most intense moments of their lives.
And it's up to us to, as men, to make that space for trust. We can't just expect to be there when we're not showing up in the house, when you're not safe, you're not looked after. Then how can you expect me to, how can you expect to just be in this, in this room during delivery of the baby? So I agree with you, and just there's 2 parts of that. Like, men have to stand tall and not just provide financially and go out and go get it. You have to provide emotional, spiritual support in the house. Yeah,
for sure. And I also wish I knew, which I answered this one on the podcast that I did on Think Loud Crew, but I also wish I knew how much fun parenting is. Yeah. Parenting seems like a drab sometimes, right? Like, it's always like you lose your independence. You lose like the ability to just like go out and do things, and the way in which parenting is described seems like a lack.
Absolutely.
And it seems like, oh, why did I make this terrible decision?
Your life is over.
And it's had this like negative stigma. Parenting is a happy occasion.
Yeah, remember I was telling you the other day, my cousin, he was on the phone, and he's like, yo, I'm so happy for you. You got your wife, your baby. Yeah. He's like, yo, I got a serious question though, man. Like, after the baby, can you still do things for yourself? Can you go out? Can you have fun? Can you, do you have a life for yourself? And I'm like, yeah, man, you could, I'm not like a go out party person anyway. So if I do want to just catch up with my friends, we'll make time for that. We'll put it on the calendar. But of course I have time for myself. The only thing is, you can do what you want. You just can't do it when you want it. Before, you can just get up and go and not feel like doing it. Yeah. Now I'm learning from just like older dads and older husbands that the things that you want to do, like if you want to prioritize the gym, you have to do that earlier. You have to do that sometimes when mom and baby are asleep. So it forces you, and it helps you develop more structure in your life, where it's like, okay, to get these things done, I'll get up earlier. And when you get up earlier, you get those things done. You actually get back home, and they're waking up, and your energy is on 1,000. It's really good and vibrant. So you're projecting good energy because you're already taken care of. You're already fulfilled. So now you can fill other people's cups instead of feeling empty. So that was my answer to my cousin. I'm like, yeah, man, you just gotta change things around and be creative with your time.
So you do have to pick and choose what you're giving your energy to. It can't be everything. Yeah. And sometimes you do have to say no. You have to say no a lot more as a parent. It is very possible to continue doing the things you love. You just have to restructure what that looks like in the season with the newborn. Oh, another thing I wish I knew, but for a parent before having the baby, was that all the things you think your baby needs, they don't. This little boy needs love, attention,
and breast milk.
Breast milk, and what
diapers.
Else? Yeah, he needs diapers. Shout out to Coterie. But it's the things that you can actually provide for very little money.
They don't need much.
They don't need much. A lot of people think they have to wait until they become the CEO of a company, own 5 vacation homes, have a portfolio of $18 million.
X amount of dollars in the baby.
Before they can start trying for the baby. And we kind of not to that extreme, but we kind of felt anxious a little during the pregnancy because we didn't have as much as we would like to give our child. And it is a beautiful thing that Malachi will grow with us. Like, we don't have it all right now. Like, we hope to buy a house soon, within the next year or so. And by the time Malachi is able to receive a hand-me-down house that we'll be able to give to him, he'll be old enough to care.
Exactly.
Like,
he'll know.
So to remove the pressure of having to have all of these things in order, what's important is your spouse. So to have a husband, a wife who actually loves and cares about you, you guys agree on the same things, you're equally yoked, you love the Lord, you have like a firm foundation, you guys are happy. Happy. That is what you should be focusing on, instead of focusing on having a certain amount of money in the bank account, because that doesn't make your child smile at this age. Like, I could be like, Malachi, look at all this money. He'll be like, I can be like,
rip it up.
He wouldn't care. It's like the love that you can give to your child. And that's just like one thing that I wish I knew then, because it would have relieved so much anxiety during my pregnancy. Like, remember we were coming up to we had 9 weeks left, and I spiraled. Literally spiraled. I was like,
we don't got it. Nothing.
We don't have this. We don't have that. We don't have it. And I just focused so much on everything we didn't have. Not once did I say, we have a healthy marriage. We have love for each other. We have the Lord. We have a firm foundation. We are centered in Christ. And like, we have a cozy apartment. It's the small things.
It's the mindset.
It's the heart posture. It's the character. It's the integrity that you pass on to your child in reality. Like, you can pass on artificial things too, but we should be more focused on passing on character to a kid. So that's my soapbox. And the last thing that we want to touch on in this video, Malachi's name.
Malachi, Malibu, Bubs, Bubba Smush, Smushy Smush, the Bubs, Jabubbies.
He's our baby. We decided to call him Malachi for a few reasons.
Backstory.
Yeah. Brandon and I were having a conversation before engagement, before we were married, in which we were discussing our future babies' names. And I was like, it's just really sucky that, like, if you end up becoming my husband, that I can't live out my dreams of having a child named Malachi, because that's your brother's name. And he's like, yeah, that is my brother's name. And like, we thought nothing else of it. It was just like, hard no, canceled, eliminated, because like, that's weird. Like, that's my brother's name. We can't name our child that. Fast forward. Once we found out it was a boy, Brandon said, what about the name Malachi?
Okay, yeah. I forgot when it was, but yeah, exactly.
It was right after it was that day. And I was like, are you serious? I was like, no, you're lying to me. Like, first I was so happy that it was a boy, and then to find out that Brandon was totally fine with us naming Malachi after his brother. And you want to tell us about like why you wanted to name him after your brother and like all the things.
Yeah, for me it just made so much sense because Remy loved the name so much.
And I love the name because it means messenger of God and angel of God.
You know what? I actually never looked up what Malachi meant. I knew him for all his life. Never looked it up. Didn't know what it meant. I knew it was in the Bible.
Yeah.
Malachi is my best friend. He's like he means so much to me. Before Remy, before little Malachi was my like everything, you know. And I love him so much. That's my guy. He already know, like that's my twin. And just knowing that I was having a boy with Remy, I was like, man, what a wonderful way to honor the most important man in my life by naming my son after him. So it was like full circle with Remy loving the name and me loving the name because of the relationship with my brother. It made so much sense for us to name our child name our child Malachi. And on top of that, I learned that there's a long lineage of Malachis in my family. My great-great-grandfather name is Malachi and his father's name is Malachi. So yeah, that's pretty much the history of why we named our son Malachi.
I love that.
And yeah, he's literally, he has so much character. And of course, Remy sees so much of her parents and her grandparents in Malachi, and it's so funny because I see so much of my brother Malachi. Like I'm like, dang, this is like my little brother. Like the way he has that energy, the way he look. Malachi used to look up to me and want to be all rough and play around, and now he's doing that. So it's real cool
sweet.
too.
You get to like live it again.
Yeah, in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, the biblical meaning of Malachi is messenger of God, and the only way you can be a messenger of God is if you can hear God. And that's one of my biggest prayers for Malachi, is that he listens with such tuned ears to God, to hear what he's saying, and that he can not only hear, but to be a messenger means to carry the message that you've been given. So not only do I pray for him to hear the Lord, but I want him to take what he hears and share that with other people. So I want him to live up to his name, and that's my hope for him. I do think it's so sweet that Malachi, the brother, is still alive, because often we get the question of like, oh, I'm sorry you lost your brother. Is he still here with us? And every time we say yes, people are like, that's weird. And I get it, because typically you name someone after someone who is no longer here, unless it's your father, who is still alive or not alive. But typically not like naming someone after someone who still is alive. And I love how Brandon's perspective on that is, I'm going to give you your flowers and your honor while you're still here. I'm going to pay homage to what you mean to me while you're still here. I'm not going to wait until it's time for your obituary, or until it's time to honor your memory or your legacy. I'm going to honor the relationship that is still being created.
I love that. I never thought about it like that.
Bam.
All right, y'all. We love y'all. We thank you for your support. We are heading to church so we can be on time, kind of. But yeah, thanks again for encouraging us and sticking with us. Please like,
comment and subscribe.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe.
And also, if you guys enjoy us answering questions that you have, feel free to ask us. I am very interested in giving you guys content that you want. So let us know. We love y'all. Have a lovely week, and we'll see you next time.
See you next week.